Everybody, I'm here with the Italian commanders, and today I thought that we would talk about the comparison between Littorio and Revel and how the two commanders affect the Roma. Both commanders are ranked up to 14, so it's kind of a fair comparison. Let's take a look at Paolo Revel first. His base trait is time is of the essence, which will quicken the reload time of your battleship's main guns, and a lot of people do use this as an inspiration for a lot of their battleship commanders. And the inspirations for both commanders, for Revel and Littorio, are Cunningham for concentrated devastation, which will increase the shell grouping of your battleship's main guns, and Robert Juillard Borer, which increases the battleship's AP shell penetration. So it's trying to get a little bit of accuracy out of what essentially is a secondary build commander here with Porcupine in the second skill. But as far as the first skill goes, I have not one for the nuisance, which will reduce the risk of catching fire or flooding. The second skill, as I said, is Porcupine, and this increases the secondary battery range, shell grouping, and accuracy for any ship type. So this tries to get you a little bit of accuracy with the secondary guns. I selected this instead of Crisscross, the main battery traverse speed, or Artisan's Touch, which increases the AP shell penetration rating of your battleship's main battery, but it is at the cost of a lower chance of Citadel hits, and I'm looking for Citadel hits, so I didn't select that. I went with Porcupine instead. And then the third skill is On Second Thought or Firefighter, and I've selected Firefighter, which decreases the chance of your ship catching fire and reduces the maximum number of fires to 3. At the same time, it reduces the reload time of the damage control party and its duration. And the last skill down here I've selected is Reaching Out XXL instead of Master Mechanic, which is probably a really good selection, but the problem with the Roma that I've always found is that it lacked range. So here I was going with Reaching Out XXL to try to compensate for that, but I think most people may pick Master Mechanic. Properly Meticulous, I'm not so sure about helping out the secondaries when the range of the secondary guns is not that great. So in any event, this is how I've had Revel set up. And then the standard Will to Rebuild for the legendary skill, which increases the HP regeneration rate when the repair party is active. And I've used Revel on the Roma ever since the Veni Vici Verdi campaign, or whatever the campaign's name was. Sorry if I got those words mixed up, but I've had Revel on the Roma for over a year and a half, probably, it seems like. So been looking for a accuracy build commander. I think everybody has, and Azure Lane Littorio is it. And base trait is Rosa Barbamento, which reduces the repair time and incapacitated modules, as well as duration of fire and flooding on your battleship. So that is her base skill. It helps out the repair and health of the battleship. And you can see I've got the same two inspirations of Cunningham and Juillard, so this is kind of a fair comparison as far as the inspirations go. But here, this is a standard accuracy build commander, which is Flammable Cannonier, which will increase the main battery range and shell grouping for your battleship. But the problem here is it increases the chance of catching fire for any ship type. The second skill is Gyrating Drill Bits, which increases the main battery traverse speed and armor-piercing shell damage, but it is at the cost of decreased maximum speed. So you're getting something and giving up something here for each of these skills. Marksmanship is the third skill. Increases the main battery shell grouping for any ship type, but it does reduce the rudder shift speed. And you also can do the On Second Thought or Properly Meticulous, which is normally the fourth skill on a lot of the accuracy battleship commanders. And again, we've got Reaching Out XXL for the fourth skill. I think the unique skill here for Littorio is Sargentinian Discipline, which will reduce flooding damage for your battleship and splash damage for any ship type, But when you max out the range here, this really is something you get above 19 kilometers, and I think it does surprise folks on the red team that are familiar with the Roma not having that great of a range. So we will see some of that in the highlight video that I have for you, I think. And legendary skill is Fight Fire with Fire, which will remove damage over time effects from your ship whenever there are 3 concurrent fires and reduce fire damage. This effect can only be triggered if your damage control party is on cooldown or fully depleted. And the legendary rank here is 1. I've got Revel up to legendary rank 2, but that is really the only difference as far as the ranking between the 2 commanders. So with that, let's go to the Roma and see what the stats are with Paolo Revel as the commander. Well, first let's go and take a look at the upgrades for the Roma real quick. I've got Aiming Systems Mod 1, dispersion of the main battery is improved by 7%, secondary battery firing range and its dispersion is improved by 5% respectively. And then here I've got Damage Control System Mod 2. Fire duration and flooding duration is improved by 15%, and this is an issue during a battle, so I've always had this selected ever since I've had the Roma. And then Target Acquisition System Mod 1, which is the only item available in slot 3. Spotting range and torpedo detection range is improved by 20%, and the guaranteed acquisition of ships is improved by 50%. And then for the last upgrade here, I've got the main battery mod 3. Main battery reload time is improved by 12%, though the traverse speed takes a hit of 13%. All right, so let's look at the stats here, and we're really interested in the artillery. So with Revel, you've got 9 guns, firing range is 17.1 kilometers, reload time is 25.1 seconds, traverse time is 34.5 seconds, maximum HE shell damage is 5100 with a 24% chance of setting fire. Armor piercing shell damage is 12,000. That's pretty hefty right there. And then the secondary armament, you have 2 types of secondary armaments, 90mm and 152mm. As far as the 90mm, you have 12 guns, range is 5.9 kilometers, reload time is 4 seconds, HE shell damage is 1300, and 5% chance of setting fire. The 152mm is another 12 guns, 5.9 kilometer range, 12-second reload this time, and they are armor piercing, so 3100. All right, so let's set up Littorio and see how those numbers change. All right, so firing range is now 18.5 kilometers. Reload time is 26.4 seconds. Traverse time is 28 seconds. HE shell damage is 5100 with a 24% chance of setting fire. Armor piercing shell damage goes up to 12,960. And then the secondary armament, everything stays the same except for the range, which is down to 5.2 kilometers. So with Littorio, you do get a little bit more range and more armor piercing shell damage for the main guns. So let's go over here and add an epic battle booster and see what the maximum range is for Littorio. The range of the main guns goes up to 19 kilometers, so that is pretty spectacular. Now the Roma does have a ship with pretty good reach with Littorio, where with Revel you are limited with the shorter range, and for me personally it was definitely a problem. Well, that's it for the differences between Littorio and Revel. Let's go out and check out this highlight I have, which features over 100,000 damage and an absolute dev strike on Iowa. All right, so we're here in Northern Waters in a standard match, and the big thing I always seem to remember about the Roma is it had a 16-kilometer range, and that might have been before I had Revel ranked up very high. And I was not using reaching out XXL as the fourth skill. I was using one of the other options, properly meticulous, or the repair skill, and range was not that great. 16 kilometers really put you at a huge disadvantage there. I'm looking, I've got a 19.08 kilometer range. That's 3 kilometers farther than I had normally been used to, even though recently here, with Revel ranked up a little higher, he is right around 17 kilometers or so. But now with Littorio, you do get the 19 kilometer range with the Epic Battle Boosters. So here I'm looking at the teams to see what we have out there. The Weimer is a ship I have to be cautious of, and the Atlanta has radar. And we've got a Carolina, Odin, Massachusetts, and Iowa. So it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. The first thing that I don't really expect is the unique voiceover of Littorio. I guess the minimum I kind of expected to be able to understand what she's saying. So be that as it may, I took a first shot over there. I think that was at the Massachusetts, and I don't get a hit. There's the Eastern Dragon up there, which if I am able to target the ship, it is in big trouble. So now I'm starting to push forward a little bit. I'm still looking around. I am being spotted, I'm assuming, by a destroyer. And there is a Massachusetts again. And there, I take some shots at him. The shots actually looked pretty good. He's 15.4 kilometers away. And there is a Citadel hit on a single hit right off the bat. So that is awesome. There were 2 other hits. They could have been overpens. But this Yakuzuki, this Azure Lane Akazuki, the angle looked kind of all wrong. So I held my shot. And there I'm taking a shot. I fired right as he disappeared, and I do get 1,000 damage or so on a single hit. So now I'm starting to back up to stay away from those torpedoes, and I don't really want to rush right out in the middle of the water and make myself a target for the entire team. That will come on later in the match, unfortunately. But here this Yakuzuki is right up against the island there. He's snugged up and he is moving back. So now we're targeting the Massachusetts again, but he is behind the island. And there's a Weimer, and we saw the Odin a second ago. I'm looking around, and I am going at 3/4 speed. I'm starting to move up. Can't be sitting back the entire match, so it is time to move up and get into the battle here. So I have, even though I complain about the range of the Roma, I have had okay scores with it. This Eastern Dragon is an absolute sitting duck right here. And if he didn't get taken out by the Kansas, he would have certainly gotten taken out by the Roma, I think. And we're up to 18,000 damage. But we are moving forward. There's the Akazuki again. And probably if I would have had HE loaded, he would have been in a little bit more trouble. But I don't. It would take too much time to switch between the 2 rounds. So I'm letting the secondaries do their job. Secondary range was 5 kilometers or so, a little over 5 kilometers. And there is this Massachusetts. And he is backing up. These look like some great shots right at the waterline. And we do get another Citadel hit for 12,960 damage, followed up by 13,000 more damage points on successive hits. So he did get me for about 9,000 damage there, but that was okay. Now I am starting to target the Iowa. I did say that there would be a devastating strike on Iowa in this match, and here it is. There is the Iowa. He's got a little bit more than half his health left. So I'm taking a shot. He's 15.1 kilometers away. And I do get some more hits. We're up to 53,000 damage. This Akazuki is gone, but it did fire some torpedoes at me. So luckily I have started pushing forward to try to get a better shot on the Iowa there, and the torpedoes were not a problem. And here I'm holding off until the Iowa gets more of a broadside angle to me, and that's when I'm going to take my shot. And there he disappeared right as it looked like he was at the best broadside angle. I took a shot anyway, right as he got into a broadside, and there are 3 Citadel hits, a devastating strike medal, and a destroyed Iowa. That is awesome. Massive damage there. We're up to 88,000. So now we're targeting the Massachusetts, and we're both broadside to each other, and these look like they should wipe the Massachusetts out, or at least get some decent damage here. And well, that's around 11,000 damage. I guess that's okay. We're up to 100,000 in damage inflicted now, and now you can see that the red team ships are starting to hit me from the right side here. But I am pushing forward to try to finish off the Massachusetts, and this is kind of the problem I was mentioning, where I've pushed so far forward that I am going to be in the target box of the red team over on my right here, and there are so many ships that are going to target me with HE, it seems like, that I'm basically going to burn down, but that won't be for a couple minutes yet. And there, a fire did get started though, and we're trying to finish off the Massachusetts, and we're taking a look to see what we have over here, and I think that is the Weimer. We did destroy the Massachusetts, and yeah, there's the Weimer and the Odin. And the Weimer is at least firing with HE shells. I think the Odin is as well. Everybody was shooting me with HE shells, and we're up to 106,000 damage. And I am going to try to use this island for cover here, and I'm not really sure where the red team destroyer is, but I believe I'm going to find out. So I hit the fire extinguisher, put out the fires, and I take some final shots on the Odin as I'm coming around this island here. And there right behind me you see some more HE coming at me, and that is the destroyer. Even though this video is to highlight Littorio and the range of the main guns, I thought that this last part of the video, even though we do get destroyed, is important, because we are running Flammable Cannonier, which does increase your chance of catching fire, and this is what you're going to be able to look forward to. I was hoping to avoid this one torpedo, but I didn't. I got destroyed. And there you have it for the highlight of the Roma with Littorio. Great maximum range here of over 19 kilometers, and for me, it definitely makes a difference. 100,000 damage there in that match. And I'll be looking forward to play the Roma and the rest of the Italian battleships a little bit more with Littorio. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you like it.